What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
And I have been in every episode. I haven't missed a single one.
You sure haven't.
Man, consistency.
You have stellar attendance.
Let me tell you, okay, funny story. I think it was first grade, I walked in to the award ceremony at the end of the year, right? Like for the entire elementary school. I walked past and there was this like table and there was like 6 just medals on the table. And I was like, oh man, I wonder what those are for. Those look awesome. It'd be so like, man, those look cool. And then it turns out what they were for was for perfect attendance. And they were calling the people up and they called my name and I was like, what? You had no idea.
You had perfect attendance?
I had perfect attendance. I had no idea.
What?
When I got one of the medals and I was like, this is the best.
Oh my gosh, I always felt like perfect attendance was one of the least attainable school accolades. Like, I think at my 5th grade graduation, I got every single award that Lee M. Wade Elementary School awarded, with the exception of perfect attendance.
Well, just know that in first grade, I had perfect attendance at Lee M. Wade Elementary School, and I got a medal.
That's incredible.
And it was the best because it was so great because I saw the medal ahead of time and was like, I covet this more than anything. And then it turns out that I had unintentionally won it by going to school every day.
That's amazing. It's amazing. I had one kid in my 5th grade graduating class who had perfect attendance for all of elementary school.
Dude, I remember at some point in high school, there was like, I think it was 2 grades ahead of me, there was like randomly 2 people who were about to graduate who had perfect attendance their whole life.
Jeez.
They had never missed a day of school. I was like, whoa, that's unbelievable. Also, how sad they never had a single sick day.
I know.
Like, man.
Missing out on the glory that is not having to compete with your 2 brothers to play Diablo 2 all day.
Only having to compete with your parents' sensibilities versus how sick you are and how much you should be allowed to do whilst you're sick.
Yeah. How much is okay there? Speaking of that, actually, though, I do have an interesting story that I want to bring up because we had a Discord topic that was submitted this week, and I think it's a funny one because it's an example of a time Mom got really mad at me, and I have absolutely no defense whatsoever.
Oh no! What is this?
Okay, so let me read the question. So it's from Cajun Dreams, who says, Valentine's Day is coming up. Any funny moments that happened while on a date can be before or after marriage. And so I actually thought about this a lot because like when we were recording the episode of the pop for the vinyl, one of the things that I was like, oh man, it'd be really funny to tell like our worst date story or like what's like a really like juicy topic that like we could include that like maybe for some reason we hadn't touched on in the past. So spoilers for those waiting on their vinyls. This is not on there.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
We don't end up talking about that. We talk about other things. It's a very good episode. But this particular instance I felt like was just like a whole bunch of bad happenstance sort of, maybe not even a whole bunch of that. One really particular thing happened.
Okay, I am so curious where the story is going.
Oh my! I think
that Mom was mad at you for something that happened on a date you were on.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Okay. So, I for whatever reason, this was my dating in high school, but like I never ever dated people who went to my high school. It was almost like, and I don't know why. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't that like the people that I could have dated, like that there was, it wasn't, I don't know. There were great people at Cave Spring High School. Like, I don't know why, like it always happened that I was dating people that went to other schools, but I did, which also meant that a huge amount of like my high school, like just life was driving to like the far reaches of the surrounding counties where these other people lived.
Right.
Which I know you're familiar with.
Because before you could drive, I had to drive you there.
Right you are.
Exactly.
Right you are.
Yeah.
I know how much you loved that.
Yeah, it was a blast.
But there was a girl named Angel that I went on a date with.
I do know where the story's going now.
Yeah,
I remember Angel.
Yeah, and she lived like a quality 40 minutes from home. And I remember
everywhere was a quality 40 minutes from home when I had to, this was the problem with driving you places was that it took 30 to 40 minutes to get there. And then typically your date would only last about 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
And so I had to drive you there, which was time consuming, but then I had to drive back.
Right.
And then I also had to drive back and then drive back.
Yeah.
So it was 4 ways of travel for me. 2 of those like cut into the intervening time. You know, so if it's like 2-hour date and I got to spend an hour driving all the way back home and back out to you, then I really have like 1 hour at home.
Jake,
you know?
look at it this way. How much better at driving did you get?
Oh, I've
Like,
marginally, if
significantly better. It's good practice. I think one of these though, did you get a speeding ticket on one of these particular occasions on the Parkway?
I feel like if I did, no, I don't think I never got a speeding ticket on the Parkway because that is like then at like state level or federal or something.
I think it's federal.
It's federal, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was always real stingy about speeding on the Parkway because like, oh man, that's federal. As if getting a regular local speeding ticket was any less worse.
Any less worse.
I mean, I guess it is, but it's not good in any way.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that didn't happen, but I thought it did. So anyway, I think I can let that off my conscience.
There you go.
That's like one. I just got lighter.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so
okay, I can't take this one off my conscience though. And Mom, who I'm sure is listening to this episode, will remember this evening. But it was a night. I think I snuck out of the house, possibly, or maybe I wasn't supposed to be there, or something. But at this point in time, I had my license. I was driving my incredible Isuzu Trooper, which I had affectionately named Sue. And I had driven out to the far reaches, the Outer Rim, as it were. I've been in a big Star Wars mood lately. So
I am not surprised. I have a feeling I know why, but we can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. So yeah, I'm in the Outer Rim, and it's like one of these things where I don't know if I try to go back in my head as to like why I was so determined to like get to this place. Like I didn't actually end up dating this person like at all. I think this was maybe the only time I hung out with them. But I was like really determined to go. And I remember getting there and I had to like park in like a parking lot for like an abandoned building next to like the house or something because maybe there wasn't a driveway. It's kind of like one of those, if you've ever like been down like a busy street and you're like, who lives in that house? It's like this person lives in that house.
Oh, okay. Angel.
Yeah. And so I go inside, I'd like hung out with her or whatever. It was like 11:40 and I was like getting ready to like go and leave. And I go to open the door to Sue, the trooper, and I have locked my keys in the car.
No.
And it's just like, it's one of these situations where it's like, crap. How do I get out?
Total crud buckets.
And there is nothing that drives me crazier than like needing to, like, for one, needing to ask for help.
Yeah.
But in this case, needing to ask for help in a way that I knew was going to get me in a lot of trouble.
Right. Because there was like that. Presumably she could not drive you home.
Yeah, she could not drive me home. I don't think she had her license yet. I think I had only just had mine for not very long. But it was just like one of these like silly things where like the trooper didn't even have like a remote key start, like a remote lock or anything. So it was like this weird instance where I had apparently left my keys in the car, shut the door, and somehow it locked.
Right. Like, I mean, you can normally hit the electronic lock on the inside.
Yeah, you could hit the electronic lock on the inside, but you'd have to be on the inside to hit the electronic lock.
Right.
But like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, so I was opening the door, hit the electronic lock, and then shut it.
Yeah.
I suppose that is possible.
Yeah.
But you would also think that maybe this would happen to me more often or something. I have no idea. This is the only time that ever happened to me. But so I'm in this situation where I'm like, I don't have my keys like to the trooper, and I'm going to have to call for help. And the only person I can call is Mom, who's not going to be happy about the fact that, one, I'm not home, and two, that I'm in the Outer Rim.
She didn't know you weren't home?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I think that was part of the problem.
Oh.
And so I call Mom, who I then have to explain where I am, which is far away. She was sleeping at the time. So she gets into her minivan and drives all the way out there to pick me up. which at this point in time is also just like kind of embarrassing. Like, because like, now it's like I had to like call my mom to pick me up in her van. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like
what went from being this kind of like cool romantic thing where you're like, it's the middle of the night and my mom doesn't even know I'm out here and I drove so far and I can drive my own car and it was a little bit further away, but I came to see you anyway, turned into, oh man, I'm sorry, I gotta call my mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then mom was mad.
Yeah, I'd be mad too.
So it was embarrassing for me, and she was furious. And then I had to find a way to get out the next day to get the trooper.
Yeah, did she not? I guess, yeah, she didn't bring like a spare key, or
I suppose she didn't. I know that she didn't, specifically because I remember being in the car on the 40-minute drive home.
Yeah, like so that's also not only is she bad, but then you got to sit in the car for 40 minutes.
Just plain stewing.
Just like, oh boy, this is
Like,
not so good. I'm surprised with like, did you call any other like friends to try and pick you up first?
I don't know. I mean, that seems like incredibly logical. It is possible, because part of the other problem I had in high school was that, like, because I was part of the GMA and like that was like my core group of friends, when you guys all graduated, because I'm the youngest, it meant that like I was
shortest.
And I'm not the shortest out of the GMA.
No, is Mike?
I think Mike is.
Mike is, okay.
But only barely, but like...
Man, it is your duty. No, you guys are brothers now, like, right?
It's true,
It is in fact your duty.
It is my duty. It is. Yep, indeed. Where was I going with this? But yeah, so it is possible though that I was just completely left hanging. Like I didn't have anybody to call, and that's what happened.
Oh,
so
boy.
it wasn't splendid. And mom's probably still mad at me about this. I bet she remembers it.
I'm sure she remembers it. I'm sure it's just a funny story now, though.
That's the thing too, though. Okay, this is the other thing. If we want to talk about the GMA for just one hot second,
well, of course,
is that I feel like so often our adventures as we were coming up, it's like they are the most fun stories to tell and relive because most of the time we were miserable. So it's like, it's really funny because I almost feel like what has happened is like the stories themselves are the prize. That's what you get.
Well, that is for sure such an absolute truth. And I think that we learned that so many times in a row in high school that it became like it like really ingrained in me that like suffering is very temporary. Or the kind of suffering you could possibly get into on most situations is pretty temporary. Like we go camping and it's cold outside and it rains, right? Okay. The worst case scenario there is that you're cold for like 6 hours.
Oh, sure. Like in the middle of the night while we're still out there.
Like the worst case scenario is you have to pack up in the middle of the night and carry up a heavy, wet sleeping bag up a hill and put it in your car and go home. Like and sure enough, that will be terrible.
Yeah.
If and when it happens. But by the next morning, it's basically over.
It's true.
Like that I think was such like a truth to me. And I think that the way that it carried into my like adult life was so different from like Beth's experiences at high school, because she didn't like have these crazy middle of the night escapades where they were climbing mountains and falling down rivers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so like when I go somewhere, I'm just like, it doesn't really matter if things go wrong, because one, it'll be funny later, and two, it'll be okay either way. Even if things are going wrong, like even if you're getting rained on in the middle of the night in the woods, it's like, this is still okay.
It's still okay. It's still okay. Which actually, fittingly, so the GMA actually just started discussing or like first little feelers into potentially doing a hike that I did last year, which was the Linville Gorge, which is like the Grand Canyon of the East.
Yeah.
If you'll recall, if you've been a long-time pop listener, I did this particular hike last year with John and Mike of the GMA, and it was torturous. It was the hardest physical endeavor that I have ever done. Like, it did pour rain in the middle of the night and was super cold and wet. No, not cold. It was very hot and wet, which almost is worse.
Yeah, it's sticky.
And yet, the fact that it poured rain on us is not even like what I remember about this hike. Like that was like not the fact that we woke up the next morning and had to get ready in pouring rain and pack up our tent in pouring rain, and that like my boots were full of standing water. because of the pouring rain, none of those were the problem. Like, I don't even think about the fact that those things happened. It was excruciating. It was so hard. It was so difficult. And yet when John was like, hey, should we do it again? I was like, yeah, we should do it again. Sign me up.
I'm there.
I'll do it again.
Let's go.
And it's like, I think it's because I just know that it's like if you go, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. But we'll get to talk about it afterwards.
Right. These are the stories. These are the experiences.
These are the experiences.
You got to go out and do it, or it didn't happen. You know, or it won't happen because it can't happen because you weren't there because you didn't do it.
That's very well stated.
Exactly.
Very well stated.
We all get it. I remember though. I would encourage people to just try and go on some adventures, like whilst you're in high school, because I remember meeting like groups of like friends in college occasionally. And like maybe as like part of a club or something, and you'd go and talk to them, and like the first time you hung out, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember when we went camping. It was this crazy thing." And it's like, and they'd have like all these stories or something, and it'd be like, "Oh, you guys sound like fun." But then after like 5 or 6 times hanging out, you'd realize like this is the only story you have.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
It was like you guys must have had a lot of fun on whatever this camping trip was, but every single story you guys tell is about this camping trip. And it's like, you gotta, there's gotta be more.
Yeah. Yep.
Like more, like you guys need to start adding some new experiences because you've been talking about this for like a long time now.
Yeah. I had a very similar experience, maybe not in quite the same capacity when I got to college. And it was like, before you go to Radford University, they have this like evening where everybody goes up and like spends a night in the dorms, and they sort of like take you through some paces. And it's like it's like a big social.
Yeah, I remember that. I went to that too.
Yeah, so it's just like an opportunity for you to potentially like meet a handful of people before you actually go, like before school actually starts. Maybe get you like some idea of like what the dorms are going to be like.
Yeah, how did that go for you?
Oh, I did not enjoy it.
No,
it was not. It was like fun in bursts. Like I remember out on the quad, like there's like this huge group of people, and everybody started this like pickup game of like flag football. And I remember like at this point in time, I was like in very, very fresh like cross country track shape. I was like fast.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't big. I weighed like 135 pounds.
Right.
But like I could run. And for flag football, that's very useful. And it was like definitely frustrating some of these guys who were like, coming out of high school as like former football players. So while you're out there, like, it's the middle of the summer, you're sprinting around, you're playing football, you're doing all this stuff. I remember I was wearing a brand new t-shirt that I bought from PacSun.
Oh no.
It was a Hurley t-shirt, the brand. And, so I remember like I received a ball, scored a touchdown, whatever. And this guy comes up behind me and just pushes me like, it's 2-hand touch, but it's like 2-hand push.
Right.
And he pushes me and I just go like barreling like end over end through the grass, which is fine. I mean, I wasn't hurt or anything like that, but covered in grass stains.
Oh no.
And sweating like crazy. Mm-hmm. And promptly after this like person, RA, whatever, resident assistant comes out, and they're like, shouting for people to come and take their photo IDs for their student ID, which I will have for the next 4 years.
Oh no.
Yes. And it's just like,
this is the thing.
Crap.
Oh boy, that's unfortunate.
I know. So I like walking to the gym, which is air conditioned, but then coming from the outside, I like start sweating more.
Yeah.
And it's just like miserable. But then long story short, I feel like what happened was I got to my room at the end of the night where they're like, all right, guys, like lock in at 9. Most people had apparently just figured out how to bypass the lock in and went to like a party or something.
You're like it turns out that all of the incoming people had upperclassmen friends they already knew and who were just already living on light side or dark side.
Yeah.
And they were just going to go party with them.
Exactly.
Something to that effect.
Something to that effect, including like so you're in like a suite or whatever. So you've got like a roommate and then like a bathroom and then like there's 2 other people.
Yeah.
All 3 of them went. And so I was just like,
how do people know? How do people know?
I don't know.
I remember. So let's see. I remember that was such a thing. Like with my freshman, because I went to Radford my freshman year as well. And I remember just being like, I wanted like random roommate, just like, let's go. We'll just like and thinking this would be a great way to like meet like friend number one. This would be like guaranteed. We're rooming together. We don't know each other. Boom. We both obviously chose random though, because that's how we ended up together.
Right.
Great. Like we must have the same goal in mind or whatever. And me and my freshman roommate were, you know, pretty good friends, I suppose. Like, you know, we went to several parties together and we got along just fine. We never like bothered each other or anything. But I remember getting there and exact same situation. Like even though he had chosen random roommate, he had tons of upperclassmen friends, of which I had none. Or well, maybe like one person I knew from high school, but otherwise it was just like he was just like gone almost immediately. I was like, all right, whoops, okay,
that did not pan out how I intended.
More difficult to meet people. Yeah, I remember though on that same Radford orientation thing. One, I don't remember. I didn't play any flag football or anything, but
missed out. Great game.
I remember like the little group they had to sit. I think I might have told the story before. I'm going to tell it again. It's been a while. Like they're like showing you around the campus and telling you all about it, and this is that place and this is that place or whatever. And they do some like icebreaker games because the idea is that hopefully you just meet some people here who you can hang out with once you get to school or whatever.
Yep.
And like it still makes me mad and embarrassed to even think about. But it's they had everyone stand on a line and like the little team leader or person stands on the other side and like, all right, the game is just like walk across like the path if your favorite meal of the day is breakfast. And I was like, okay. So I walk across and I turn around and literally no one else had walked across. I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
I was like, no, what do you mean? You're all crazy. First of all, breakfast is amazing. But second of all, how could you do this? I was like, and everyone was just looking at me like, you are like the looks at me. It was just like, wow, dude. Like you have really put yourself like, don't know anything about that. No one talked about that. Like that was the looks I was getting like, okay, you just went by yourself. That was a bad move. I'm like, okay. Everyone in this group's officially crossed off potential friends list. All right, we're good.
That's good.
You guys don't like eggs or bacon. I get it. It's cool. Fine, cool.
It sounds like they're just missing out. I mean, have they ever even had a mimosa before?
It was just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's like they said, this is the game. And you just, you know, like it didn't occur to me to like look around and be like, anyone else go in? You know, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I was just like near the front of the group or something. It just didn't have any like peripherals on it. But, oh boy, crossing that gap was definitely earned me some just like, some like weird stares.
It doesn't, that feels like just the only reason I could even make sense of it is just purely because like high school age is just not the friendliest experience on the whole. Like as adults, I almost feel like there would be inevitably in a group of people, there would be someone else that'd be like, you know what, I'm joining him. He's got a point. Like someone would have saved you as an adult.
I know someone would have been, or at least would have been like, I feel like I could have joked about it better as an adult. Like I could have turned around and been like, you're all crazy. Like I had no self-awareness about like, I didn't have enough self-esteem to turn around and just like own it in the moment or anything. I was just incredibly embarrassed apparently that breakfast was my favorite meal of the day. Like, what a weird thing. It like totally backfired on the counselor too, because I feel like they were taken in the situation like, dude, you should have stayed over there.
Oh no.
They didn't say that. Anyway, there was also like, the social or whatever at night. And I remember like, I didn't go there like, I wasn't going to know any, I knew there were people from my graduating class at Cave Spring who were also going to Radford, but no one who I was like particularly good friends with or anything. Yeah. So it was sort of that weird, awkward situation where it's like, I'm here. And I did just go to school with some of you, but I'm not really friends with you, but we know each other. But like, it's a little bit like I'm not really embarrassed to do anything in front of anyone except you guys, because you already sort of have an established reputation of me, but no one else really does. And it's like this very awkward.
This goes back to the thing we were talking about with dancing, where it's like, it's so hard to dance in front of your friends. If I was around total strangers, I would totally dance.
Right.
I think maybe.
Maybe. So there was a couple of things that happened that night. So I'm sure when you went there, they had their big like portable rock wall thing set up.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Did you do it?
No.
Well, I did. Because I'm like just sitting there like, I don't know anyone, right? I'm the breakfast guy, so I'm clearly flying solo. And I'm like looking at this thing and I'm like, I want to do that. That looks fun. And I'm like, I'm by myself and no one else is doing it. Like
it's one of those
things. Yeah.
It's one of those odd things. Like I feel I've made this joke before, but every single college pamphlet that goes out will include a rock wall on the pamphlet because it makes the college look fun.
Yeah.
And no one ever uses those rock walls ever.
I had two artificial rock wall experiences at Radford. One was on the initiation or the pre-term social whatever thing. I was like, okay, I don't know anyone. I don't have anything to do or anyone to talk to, so I'm going to go do that because I always like rock climbing, so I'm just going to do it. And yeah, it was like, there's no line. There's no one there at all. The guy's just standing there like, you want to go? I was like, yeah.
Let me guess. You like breakfast.
So I did it. I immediately came down and was like, well, I guess that took like 3 minutes. Now I got to figure out something else to do.
Just do some reps.
You're going to get back up? So terrible. It's just like one of these, you're like, I'm a little, am I embarrassed? I don't know. I'm pretty sure rock climbing is cool, but there's definitely no one doing it. So
I don't know why it's so funny.
I know. It's just like, what is the setting? I don't know. Like anyway, I did it. Okay. But I will say the evening eventually it turned around. There was like a bunch of pool tables at like what is the social?
The Bonnie.
The Bonnie. Yes, you remember. You went there for 4 years.
Yeah, sure did.
A bunch of pool tables in the Bonnie, and I remember being just like because I'm like having this like internal struggle. Like I really don't want to just like be that guy who's just like, all right, peace. I'm gonna just sleep. You know,
sure.
Because like
sure.
that's like the obvious exit. Like you can just go back to the dorm at whatever point, and just sleep. You'll wake up, and then you'll leave, and that'll be that. So it's like I really feel like I need to do something to give this like a chance to like actually try. So there's like people playing some billiards, and I'm like, these people look like they've just met based on it. They're obviously just a bunch of guys my age, and I'm like, can I play winner? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. And then that was a very good in for like the rest of the evening because I did play the winner and then I won like 5 games in a row. And it was just like everyone, like you could tell these guys were like, oh, this guy is really good at pool. Like this is what a show.
So you went from like the lone pin to the king pin.
I did. Yeah. I immediately just like earned a bunch of rep points on the pool table with these people. And then this was the really awkward part though. On like game 3, 2 people from my high school like recognize me and they like come over and like, oh, hey, like they want, like clearly they also have no one to talk to. And like they have like recognized me as a familiar face. And they're like, hey, do you want to go do this? And I'm like, I know now that I'm like in the zone. I'm like, kind of
running table over here.
Kind of in the middle of a thing here. So I don't think I actually went over and hung out with them. But I did then eventually move from the pool table with those people to the bowling alleys. And then I did actually have like a few, new Facebook friends going into freshman year. So it all worked out pretty well.
It's so impressive.
End. Yeah.
It's so impressive. Well,
owning a pool table really pulled off really paid off in that moment.
That makes sense. Sense. Yeah. Also, my experience with friend making on this particular situation was slightly odd because it led
your favorite meal is lunch.
I was good, man. Everybody was like, heck yeah, lunch. That's like the break in the middle of the day. No. So I did make a couple of friends, a couple of like touch points, and I was like really excited about it. But one of them in particular ended up being it was like a very odd situation because it ultimately led to what became like the most awkward friend breakup that I've ever been anywhere a part of.
Oh.
It was an incredibly odd situation. But so I met this guy at this event, and it was like, we walked up and he was just like super, super charismatic. And apparently his sister had like gone to Radford like 6 years prior. So it was this like unusual thing, but almost like in every movie where like a character travels to like an alien place, to like a foreign location, and there's that like point person that they meet that just like becomes their guide that like somehow knows like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So
it's like Sim.
Sim. Yeah.
Name of the Wind. Bingo.
Right. Right. Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was just like he knew everything. He knew where everything was. He could tell you like the history of all of the buildings and stuff. And so it was like, man, you were like extremely useful. But he was also just an incoming student. He wasn't like a guide or anything like that. But yeah, ridiculously charismatic, so funny. Like I remember just being like in stitches. Like, you know, like this guy is just like hilarious. It's gonna be such a great addition. It's gonna be so fun to like go to parties and stuff with, because he's just like that. He's like the person who can make it fun.
Right.
And I was like, oh, it's gonna be so awesome. And what ended up being really odd about it was I had like a group of friends that I was coming to Radford with, which I actually would not recommend. I would be much more in camp, get a random roommate.
Definitely go random roommate, guys.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You can still just go ahead and meet up with your old friends. No problem.
Exactly. But the roommate can also be like an avenue to meet their
New
group
friend.
of friends.
Yeah.
Which can be great. But so like my group of friends ended up like hanging out with this guy. He like sort of like became like a part of the group. And what we very quickly found out in the first few weeks of school is that like he was sort of like, it feels incredibly mean to describe it this way, but it was like, it was really odd because he had all these jokes that were so funny and like the delivery was so good. But what we figured out was that it's because he always used the same jokes.
He had like a routine.
He had like a routine. And so it's like,
It was really great the first night.
it was really good the first night, and like even probably the first several times, like it was like the delivery was spectacular. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, like this. It's like he's a stand-up comic, and it was like it's like he's a stand-up comic. You know, like if you went like every single night and realized that like the hesitant delivery and stuff like that was all part of like the performance.
Right. You can do the same routine if you're traveling to a new city every night because it's a brand new audience.
Brand new audience.
Yeah, you got the same audience every night. You can mix up the material, man.
Exactly. And so it was one of these things where, more than anything, I think that like there were like a group of like 6 of us who all knew each other, and he like sort of like fell in with the rest of the group, which meant that like for the most part we were all spending time together anyway because we were like either roommates or existing friend group. And so it sort of became the case that he would like pop in unexpectedly, maybe like too often. Like and I don't want to like instill anxiety into anybody who's at home and like, man, am I like asking my friends to hang out too much? I think it was just a huge learning curve the first couple months of school. So anyway, it was just sort of like one of these things where I think for any other situation, it would have been so easy just to sort of like drift in the way that certain friendships do.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there was one guy in my friend group who was like determined to make it like a clean break. And so like I remember one day I get back from class.
Like we need to talk to him.
Yeah, I remember like I get back from class and he's like, I took care of the, like I won't say the guy's name, but I took care of the guy problem. And I was like, what do you mean you took care of the guy problem?
It sounds to me like you made a bigger problem is what it sounds like.
That's exactly what it did. It was like, this could have been fine. This could have been like a situation where it was like, we just sort of like all go our separate ways. And like when we see each other on the quad, it's still like, yo, what's up, man?
Yo, hey.
And he'd be like, good morning. Because that's what he always said.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious because it was usually evening when he said good morning. And I was like, oh, that's funny.
Man.
I don't expect that.
Wrong time of day.
Then yeah, that's what makes it funny. Yeah. No, so it could have been fine. And like even the guy was, I mean, he was such like an inherently friendly dude. And I remember I had like a pair of like sneakers that I was like that like I had brought to college that like I wasn't wearing, and like the rest of us wore like these like skate shoes and stuff, and he wanted to be like a part of that. And so like I'd given him these skate shoes.
You gave him shoes?
Yeah, so I gave him a pair of shoes that I had, and he was really, really excited about it. He wore them everywhere. And then like this guy in my group goes and breaks up with him for all of us. And then I get oh my God, it's gonna make me sad to talk about it. I get a text from Guy like the next day, and he's like, I'd like to return your shoes. And I'm like, no,
like, Guy.
It's like, you don't.
It wasn't me.
It's like, it's not you, it's him.
Dude, okay. This reminds me very much of a story from my first week as an 8th grader at Cave Spring Junior High. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm going back.
You're familiar. I think the phrase they used at our school was natural helpers.
Yeah.
Because you were one.
I was one.
You were a natural helper. Look at you.
Yeah.
Basically, to become a natural helper, I think you just have to sort of be like a real stand-up student in like 6th or 7th grade. So that by the time you get to 8th grade, you're like you've stood out to the faculty and they select you or something.
Oh, I got picked after 6th grade.
Boom, look at you.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works. I got there in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Anyway, what the natural helpers do is that when you have people transferring in from other schools, they will get assigned to you to be like your friend who will show you around and be like, hey, this is where the things are. Let me show you how to get around the school. So I remember going in, it's like another orientation situation, before the school year started. And I remember like looking up at the selection of natural helpers or whatever. And I see this one guy, he's clearly got on like a shirt from the soccer team last year. He's like super tall. He's got like cool beach blonde hair. His name was Hal. I'll just go ahead and say it. Cool guy. And I'm like, oh man.
Oh, I know Hal.
Yeah. Everyone knows Hal. He was great.
Great guy.
Great guy. I'm like, man, I hope I get paired up with that guy. I didn't. I eventually became friends with Hal because I was on the soccer team and stuff. But anyway, I got paired with someone else whose name I won't say because, but he was perfectly fine for like, we went through orientation, first day of school, and showed me around. It was great. Sat down at lunch the first day. There's like my class had this like big group of just like guys who were all kind of in the same thing, kind of in this like soccer video game, 8th grade boy cluster.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
I know the type.
Yeah, you know the type. You were an 8th grade.
Yeah,
you were an 8th grade boy at one time.
I was there,
and I'm just sitting out, and I'm immediately put in like the big group, and I'm like, this is fantastic. Like, look at all these new people I get to talk to. Great. This is good. And that's how it was for day 1 and for day 2. And then I show up on day 3, and I don't know what happened. I don't know how long in the making it was, but basically the whole group decided that my natural helper guy was going to be was your guy. And they were just like, we are done.
He got voted off the island?
He got voted off the island, basically. So we show up to lunch the third day. They just like blindside him, basically. And like the whole group, which was like 15 guys, has been like completely split, and like 8 are sitting over here and like 3 are sitting over here, and they're like, you can't sit with us. And like all of a sudden, this is the only person I know, like he's been assigned to me as a friend, and now on day 3 it's like been reversed. It's like, now I am the only, I can't abandon you, because that would be like, I can't do that because I don't know anyone else, and you're like the only person I know. And no one told me about this Game of Thrones style lunchroom situation that was about to happen.
Someone could have mentioned it.
Someone could have told me. And so I the entire rest of the year am stuck just sitting with my natural helper guy and his one other friend at lunch every day. And it is the longest hour of the day every day. It is so boring. No one has anything to talk about.
No wonder you don't like the best meal of the day.
Oh my God. Yeah. Lunch? Are you kidding me?
No way.
No, thank you.
Have you been to 8th grade?
You guys are crazy. No, lunch would eventually get better, but in future years. But that was a very weird scenario.
That is.
Yeah, I got so trapped there.
Interestingly, I can tell you the inverse of this story, because I had, as a natural helper at the beginning of each year, you're assigned like your person or whatever, or if somebody comes in the middle of the year. And I remember when I was going into 8th grade, I showed up for this day, and it's like before school starts and stuff, and you like show them around, like walk around the school and just kind of give them like the full tour and stuff. And like in 8th grade, I was still probably like 4'8", and like I had not like grown yet. Yeah. And up walks this guy who is already like 5'6" with a beard, and I'm like, whoa, like you are bigger than, like you've already grown, and it's like one of these things where it's like like a reasonably like handsome guy and stuff like that, and so like I'm like, oh man, like this is gonna be fun, like we'll be friends. And I like start showing him around, and this guy, like I wouldn't have even known the word misogynist when I was in 8th grade, but like I knew that whatever this guy was saying was not good.
It was not good.
And I was like, oh dear. Like I was like, I'm not going to be able to be close friends with you, but I am also the person who is like who has been assigned to be your friend, you know? And so it wasn't something where like I had any, like I didn't, it wasn't that like, you know, I wanted anything bad for this person or anything like that. It was just largely that I was like, we are not on the same, like we're not vibing, I guess, you know, like, it's just different. And I don't know that I remember this day like so clearly, because I remember just being like, you can't say these things. Like, that's not okay. But I didn't know what to say because I was also like supposed, like by design, for one, even then I was a people pleaser. And two, that's like my job today is to be nice to you.
Right.
And you're making it hard.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I got through it.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also eventually got through 8th grade. Thanks mostly to time and nothing else.
The sheer glacial passing of time.
The sheer glacial passing of 8th grade. Easily the worst year of school. Easily. For me.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I remember that year.
Yeah. That was the year we moved, obviously. That was the whole situation. Yeah. Oh, well.
Anyway.
You know.
Okay. So should we transition?
Let's transition.
Transition. And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So earlier I mentioned words like outer and rim.
Yeah.
Which is because I watched the most recent episode. Well, I guess by the time this comes out, 2 episodes ago of the Book of Boba Fett.
Episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett.
Which is effectively The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
Man. Okay.
DeLorean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it's okay. I feel like it's taken me like, you know, a few seasons or a couple seasons of Mando, Book of Boba Fett, like some other context clues, the general vibe towards the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like you and I have talked about this fairly a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe we're starting to get an image as to the future of Star Wars.
I agree. I think, like enough time has passed since the sequel trilogy has come out, and Mando has sort of like taken the helm of the most popular Star Wars thing that is doing Star Wars the most correct in the best way, and it's got Grogu, and it's like, oh, it's so good. And now they're going to be introducing a bunch of new shows this year. They've got like the Book of Boba Fett obviously coming out now. We've got Ahsoka coming out. We've got Obi-Wan coming out. But and it seems like the stories are going to be a lot more interconnected than we thought, because like, this 5th episode of Book of Boba Fett is effectively just like an appetizer episode of Mandalorian season 3.
In fact, I would almost say that even if you're not watching the Book of Boba Fett, you should watch this one episode. You don't need to watch the rest of the
context needed.
Yeah, but my guess is that you're going to need to have seen this episode to understand everything that happens in future Mandalorian adventures.
Yes. It'll be very curious to see how in like episode 1 of Mandalorian, like how much exposition they give to be like, how'd you get that Naboo starfighter?
Oh, yes.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. Like whether or not, because they'll need it to be okay that you haven't seen this episode.
Exactly. They'll need to not require you to have seen it, which means they'll have to provide some explanation.
Right.
But like, it'll be curious to see how much, because this is one of those situations.
Okay. But so what I think is interesting about this, though, is that what they're doing right now is something that I personally find kind of fascinating. And I think it's like a threefold like endeavor. But I think do you remember early on in Super Carlin Brothers, well, I'm sure you do, but you made a video called like All Jedi Are Evil.
Yes, it was like the part 2 to like We're All Sith or something.
Yeah, and so basically I think what it really comes down to, and like this is what the prequel trilogy was all about, was sort of like maybe a little bit of the Jedi losing the way a little bit and maybe not acting like the way that Jedi were ultimately like intended to act and stuff. And I think that like a lot of what you maybe learn as time goes on, or maybe like what Luke was struggling with at one point in time, is that like the Jedi's path is like not really the best. Like it's like a little too stringent. It's a little too detached. It's like, you know, like Harry Potter, for example, it's like the underlying message is love. And with the Jedi, the underlying message is sheer detachment. Yeah. If anything, like love was part of Anakin's problem.
I mean, it was basically the whole problem, right? Like he loved Padme and they got married and that wasn't allowed and they had to keep it a secret. And then he loved her so much and he thought she was going to die and he went crazy.
I mean, he did. You're exactly right though. But it's taking that very idea. It's like you would do anything for the person you loved, right? And it's like Anakin's like, yes.
But it's like, here's the thing. If the Jedi were just like, yeah, no, like you love her. Like, of course, go save her, go be with her. It would have been fine. But instead it was like, the Jedi can't find out at all. And I have to keep it a secret. And because I have to keep it a secret, she's going to die. Now I hate the Jedi for making this basically their fault. And it's definitely not 100% their fault, but like not zero.
Like at some point in time, every individual needs to be held accountable for their actions, but also like there was some greater stuff going on, you know, like above his head, a few floors up. And so what I think is interesting about that though is that what they're really introducing is I think like Grogu as like the potential Jedi, but then Mando, where their code of the Mandalorian is like almost the exact opposite of the code of the Jedi, which like their whole thing is like loyalty and like, you know, commitment to one another and like upholding these values and stuff. And so what I feel like you're getting is maybe like the customs of Mandalore meeting the customs of the Jedi to hopefully create whatever the convergence of these two ideals
it's exactly what's happening.
And I think it makes perfect sense because like the whole thing is that we're seeing like the dark saber sort of like make its rounds, and the dark saber was originally created by the first ever
Mandalorian Jedi. Tar Vizsla.
Yes. Look at you go.
There you go.
I got
that Star Wars lores.
You got it. So anyway, what I feel like we're seeing though is like it must be the case that these are two things, and probably even as Star Wars fans, it's like we love Jedi, we love Mandalorians. Put them together. What could be better?
You got the black lightsaber. You got little Grogu. You've got Jedi. You've got Mandalorian. Oh, first of all, let me just say the title, The Mandalorian, is like becoming a better and better title, like by the day.
Oh yeah, because it's not about Din Djarin.
Well, because it is and it isn't. Right. Like Din Djarin is not of Mandalore. He's a foundling, but he is the most Mandalorian of the Mandalorians. Like he is upholding everything the best. But then like it's also talking about the Mandalorian like as a race of people, like the Mandalorian, you know, like them.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is like all of them. But then I really think the specific reference is to Grogu. Grogu is the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be the end all, because like they keep talking about whoever wields the dark saber is going to be the one to lead Mandalore. And you're like, oh, well, it's going to be Din Djarin. He's going to have that. And like, of course he should have it. But like, lightsabers are held by Jedis, and he can't use the Force, and he's raising Grogu, and Grogu can use the Force, and he's going to be a Jedi, and like Grogu's going to be the Mandalorian.
Yes, and the thing about Grogu too is that like I think what everybody's frustrated with Star Wars is just like the whole like everybody's just done with the Skywalker saga.
Yeah,
it's like we gotta wipe our hands clean up like of it. We just like I don't even think it's anybody's fault. I think that like the series has come out across so many different literal generations of people that like, I mean, like our parents who exist to like a generation saw the original Star Wars trilogy come out, and then there's like another generation that saw the prequel trilogy, and then there's a generation that's seeing the sequel trilogy, and like everything is attempting to be like relevant to its current times. It's all trying to do different things. It's all trying to be like an allegory for something else. And the problem is that it's just not cohesive. And if the MCU has taught us anything, it's that cohesion be awesome.
Yes.
Like it's like you can have stories that are really, really good as standalone stories, but then also if there is a central through line that has been established and been prepared by someone who has a vision, then like it's gooder.
It is gooder. There's no doubt about it.
It is much more goodness.
Yeah.
And so what I think that they're going to do, and the fact that it's so perfect that it's a member of like Yoda's species, Grogu, is that we know that they live for a very long time.
Like 900-ish plus years.
Which means we can get far, far away
Far, far away.
from the existing timeline.
We can start here where everyone's familiar. Everyone knows the rules of the current timeline.
Yes.
You can have little baby Grogu. He's already 50 years old. But you can shoot that Grogu like an arrow into the future 400 years where most everything will have changed. Except he'll only be like middle-aged.
Yeah.
But middle-aged, but awesome because he's going to be Yoda in Mandalorian armor with the dark saber.
Almost inevitably.
Like if they are not, like, to me, I think they almost must be setting up Grogu to be the central character of like the next big like cinematic trilogy.
Yes.
You know?
And here is like where I think like what it's a concept that I would love to just get out into the world, but it's like I think what you can do if you let him exist far into the future is still let the characters of the now be important in much more subtle ways. Like let their existence be important as they are ideas. So like if you go back to The Force Awakens, for example, Luke Skywalker as an idea is a ridiculously powerful and fun thing to think about. It's like nobody knows where he is. The Force is real. Yeah. All of it. Dark side, light side, whatever.
Right. He defeated the Emperor. He defeated Darth Vader. He blew up the Death Star. This guy's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And now he's somewhere. He's hidden.
He's
it's
gone.
Like, and it's like everybody wants to know where he is. It is like the central mission of everybody. And so what I'm getting at here though is that like Luke Skywalker as an idea is awesome. It's like, but like in The Last Jedi, it's like he's not, I don't like him as a character. It's like I want his importance to be his importance because Luke is important. But like that's all. You don't need further character development of Luke.
Right, like you thought he would come in and just be an established hero.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's not. He's like a washed up hero who doesn't care anymore.
Right. And so what you end up having to see is like a story arc for Luke Skywalker that just ultimately, in my opinion, feels kind of forced and largely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Same thing with Leia. It's like, and Han, even for that matter. It's like the fact that they killed Han in The Force Awakens is like, it's symbolic. It's important because you care about Han as an idea, not specifically like the on-screen person.
Right.
So what I feel like could ultimately happen with Grogu's series, again, if you're like hundreds of years in the future, it's not that you can't still have like someone find Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, or like this is a remnant of Rey the Great, or something
you can, yeah. I mean, here, like you already know for one that Grogu can at least have some memories of the Empire because he was born while it was around.
Yes.
He can have memories of Din Djarin, right? Because he's around in the now. He can have memories of the Resistance and the First Order, if you want. Like he can have lived through all of that. And he was trained, we know at least some, by Luke. Like that's going to be, like, that'll all be part of his past and that you can carry into the future. But those characters don't have to be around anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can be important in their own, like I said, in a very subtle way.
Yeah.
It's there. It's present.
It's
we still
there.
all get to enjoy it. Like inevitably, somehow Din Djarin's armor will end up in Grogu's possession, and maybe he'll make a tiny little Mandalorian helmet that has his ear sticking out of the sides.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Look, everyone, here's the thing. It feels inevitable that Grogu will inherit the Darksaber, but it also feels inevitable to me that he will construct a lightsaber of his own using the little ball from the Razor Crest.
There's no doubt about that.
There's no doubt about it, right?
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
It has to be the case.
It has to be the case that that's going to happen. Like he's got to make his own little lightsaber with a little ball. It's going to be so cute.
Maybe they'll call it the Dark Razor.
The Dark Razor. Or maybe he'll have like a white one and it'll be like a literal lightsaber. Instead of the dark saber, the lightsaber, but it's also a lightsaber. You get it?
I do get it.
That'd be pretty cool.
Force, dark side of the Force.
Maybe it'll be double bladed and it'll be black on one side, white on the other.
What?
That'd be insane.
So many cool ideas.
Man, all right. Y'all can Star Wars. Hey, hit us up.
We're here.
I got ideas.
All right, I like it. I think there's cool stuff. So anyway, I mean, but that makes me excited because I do feel like Star Wars has like in a lot of ways, it's actually funny. Like, again, if I were to look at it just from the way that it has affected us as like inside of our profession and stuff, is like in the early days, some of our most popular videos were Star Wars videos.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember like even when we were tapped to do the deal with like Lenovo, where we were brought out to do like this like Star Wars commercial for like a product they had created and stuff. It was like, I remember like the way that even all the people on set and stuff like viewed us. They were like, oh, you guys are like the Star Wars guys. And it's like probably the Pixar guys, but then also maybe even more the Harry Potter guys.
Right.
Like, and I mean, not that we're any specifically of those things, because we just do all of it. But like, it's funny because in a lot of ways it felt like Star Wars like helped project the channel forward. It's like some of the most popular early stuff that we made, even some of the most highly viewed videos on our channel to this day, and yet it's probably the fandom that we cover the least.
Yeah.
Like, I would bet in 2021 we made more Avatar: The Last Airbender videos than we did Star Wars videos.
Ooh, could be. I mean, I know we were making some stuff when Mando was coming out, and I think we made like one Bad Batch video.
Yeah.
Because that was like a very unknown, that was like the first new Star Wars thing that had come out since Mando, and I was like, everyone's so excited about that, maybe they'll be excited about this. And I'm sure there are some Star Wars channels that are full-time Star Wars that did just fine with Bad Batch and stuff, but I think it probably hit our audience like, oh yeah, like some of us watched it, it was okay. Yeah.
Right, but that's the thing, is that like things haven't found their way into like the broad strokes, like, and I feel like if you were to maybe attempt to articulate the way that like our audience seems to respond to our fandoms, it's almost that like with Harry Potter, like let's say you have the barrel of ideas, like there's the stuff on the top that anybody might be able to understand. Like, is Hagrid super rich? Like, it's everybody knows who Hagrid is. It's a very easy concept to grasp. It's not very deep. But then, like, I mean, we can go as far as, like, you know, I don't know, like, is Credence the Obscurus the heir of Slytherin? I don't know, because he's a parcel mouth and can talk to Nagini. It's like we can take splinters from the bottom of the idea barrel, and like people are so leaned in that we're not like, we're not going too far.
Right.
You know, it's like people are very in depth. But with Star Wars, I feel like you have to find those concepts. Like, what do lightsaber colors mean?
Right. Yeah. Like, what are the broad strokes Star Wars things at the moment?
Yes. And I think that's probably where you can't go too technobabble into that and still have the mass appeal. But I think that part of that is just like the fandom is, it exists in such a segmented way. Does that make sense? Like everybody sort of likes Star Wars for a different reason, but what they need is for everybody to like Star Wars for the same reason.
Right.
In the same way that everybody likes, you know, the MCU, like all of the characters on the outside, of course. And like some of the movies, just as standalones, are absolutely fantastic. But the way it all converges, I think, is really what it's like. I don't know. It's the glue.
Yeah.
The Avengers.
Yeah. The Avengers. Boom. Yeah. Are they going to have Avengers style Star Wars movies?
If Disney has anything to say about it, they will.
I know, right?
But like,
and certainly Disney does have things to say about it.
But this is what I feel like they're doing right now. I feel like what they're doing is they're like, we hear you, and we're gonna take your hand and we're gonna walk really slowly for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're gonna no intergalactic threats. Everything's small. We're on Tatooine.
Right. We're on Tatooine. Look, hey, we'll save the movies for the big giant balls that blow up other giant balls. Okay. No Death Stars.
Right. Yeah,
you can have
no Death Stars, no Emperors.
No Emperors. Yeah. We're just small stakes, big but small. Right. Character driven.
Yes, let's make you love the characters again.
Yes.
And in doing so, yeah, I think like what they're trying to do is they're like, there's the burning wreckage behind us, but if we walk slowly this way, maybe at some point in time you'll be excited about the new thing that we can show you again.
Yeah. I think so.
Not obscured by the smog.
Are you particularly excited about any of the other Star Wars projects coming out, like Ahsoka or Obi-Wan? Okay,
so my thing when it comes to Star Wars is that I have not watched Rebels or Clone Wars. I feel like at some point in time I'm really, really, really gonna need to, because it feels like maybe where like Star Wars had like the great big reset after Disney purchased it.
Right.
And it feels like the expanded universe that all got wiped out is now Rebels and Clone Wars. Like a lot of the peripheral stuff, a lot of the far-reaching stuff, a lot of the details that like you might not know, like other characters that are like super important that like are not in the main series episodes,
right?
Or even in like Rogue One or Solo. It's like you can't like maybe we're starting to need to know,
right? Like you didn't need to know because all you really need to know was the movies.
Yeah,
like, the movies were always the main players, but now it's like they've had all these other little things that the fans are really excited about. That they know they have this core audience, and now they've got like the Mandalorian going really well. So like people I feel like people are willing to experiment with newer stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why you're going to get like Ahsoka and like you're going to be introduced to Thrawn and Ezra. And if you're like I'm into Star Wars, like, you know who these characters are. No problem. You spent tons of time with them.
Exactly.
But there is a very great chance that like a ton of people who watched Mandalorian and saw Ahsoka show up were like, now who is this?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Like so Ahsoka I think is a great example of this because either you saw Ahsoka in live action form and you were like in your jaw hit the floor.
Yeah.
Or you were kind of like, okay, new person. In the same way that like you walk into like Boba Fett walks into the cantina and there's like the woman who runs the cantina and it's like she seems important somehow.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know why. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't see her and was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's that like, but same thing with Thrawn, you know, like Thrawn's coming. It's like that's like some of the most popular Star Wars books, but plenty of people might see this blue guy with red eyes show up and be like,
this guy looks cool. All right.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
What else? So I feel like as we trudge forward, I am being more and more and more motivated to go back and start to do some homework and do some catching up because I don't want to miss out on an epic moment.
Right.
You know, like I don't want it to be the case that I don't know what it means when Cap pulls the hammer.
Right.
You know, like I want, because that's like, it's like one of the most magical fandom based experiences I've had. Hard stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one of the, it's amazing. It's perfect.
Well, okay. So yeah, great example. Like if we are correct, and in fact that there will be, this is my predict, that there will be a trilogy someday where Grogu is the main character.
Yep.
Right. Like here's the thing: the trailer is going to be like really cool. You're going to see all the traditional Star Wars things and have the TIE fighter. You know, it's going to be cool. And at the end, what's going to happen is they're going to light up the freaking Darksaber, and you're just going to like see his profile.
Just the
right?
silhouette.
You're just going to see the silhouette, and everyone who knows and is, oh wow, what bad timing. Everyone who knows is going to lose their freaking mind. Like
Yep.
the internet is going to explode when that trailer inevitably drops someday. And there's going to be some people who didn't watch Mandalorian and haven't seen any Star Wars since The Rise of Skywalker. And they're going to be, well, I say that. It's pretty hard not to know who Grogu is.
It's pretty
hard. He's
yeah.
reached like population saturation.
Yep.
But like, you might not know about the Darksaber. You're not going to lose your mind in the way that people who, like, if you showed up to Endgame and you never seen Thor and you know about the hammer, like Cat pulling the hammer, you're like, I guess that was cool.
Yeah. It's like the music, the tone of the film, like everything tells me that was a big deal, but I don't know why it's a big deal. I don't know this entire saga and the history and what it means to be worthy and all the rest.
Right.
Here's my other prediction though about future Grogu.
Yeah.
Is that like never in a million years could I have told you that like Yoda, but like as a baby, would be the cutest thing ever. Like there's no, my brain never ever could have started to like connect those dots, right?
Yeah.
But that also makes me think, like, you start to think about, you know, like baby Yoda all geared up in like potential armor, holding the Darksaber and stuff. They're going to make him look awesome.
Yeah.
Like he will, like you will have departed adorable and cute, and it will be like this guy is cool looking.
Yeah.
And that's like, because to me, that is the great challenge. Like that, like how do you
got to bridge that gap.
Yeah. Because like one of the biggest things that took me out of it in Attack of the Clones is like when when Yoda goes like into God mode and he starts like jumping off all the walls and he's spinning and doing all this stuff, it's like, it doesn't correlate to me. It's like, you mean the guy that's like carefully walking across the room, like with
a cane.
With a cane. It's like I can appreciate the fact that this is all him demonstrating his like mastery of the Force, and like that's what you're witnessing. And like when Yoda walks across the room, he's like he doesn't use it for frivolous reasons. He's not using it to walk. But still, like it,
right.
like,
I know what you mean.
Like I didn't see that and think like Yoda's cool, and I think that they will find a way to make him look just freaking awesome.
Yeah. The trick is going to be like right now, it's almost impossible to dislike Grogu because all he is adorable and like he does fun things and obviously just like loves like Din Djarin and it's really cool, but he doesn't have a ton of like opinions. So to be very that is going to be like the edge they have to walk is like if he gets older, he's going to have had like real experiences that have now formed opinions. That hopefully they're able to put forward in a way that you're still just like Grogu, I would follow you anywhere. Well,
and that's, I mean, I feel like what they're going to do is I feel like a lot of his attitude is going to be inspired by Din Djarin.
Exactly.
Because I think that Mando, that character is just like, I love, like, sure, the Mandalorian armor, the get-ups look cool and stuff, but like the difference in the way that I feel about Din Djarin and Boba Fett is like jarring to me. Mm-hmm. It's like the fact that like when Mando walked back on screen, it was like, my boy.
Here
he is. And he's just so good. He's like, his like ethics are great, but he's also sort of like,
it's like, I will threaten you.
Yeah. Like he's like very tough, but like he's not, even the fact that like, he's not, I don't know, taking money, he's like, I'll help because it's the right thing to do. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right. They just got to like instill him with like the Din Djarin-ness.
The Din Djarin-ness. Yeah. It's a ness for sure.
Exactly.
Anyway, Jay, I feel like we're at a good stopping point.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like hopefully people are still hanging around.
Here for the Star Wars.
I know. Yeah. It's, I mean, I think on the pop in particular, we have spent now maybe 3+ lengthy episodes attempting to explain like just Star Wars. Look, like attempting to understand the Star Wars.
Well, this is one of the things. It's like you forget. It's like I think I forget how much I love Star Wars sometimes because it can be such like a polarizing thing, like on the internet.
Yeah,
but it's like at my core, I really do love it, and like when it's being done well, and I'm just like, because when that episode came out of Book of Boba Fett, and it was just like, oh, this is just the Mandalorian. It was like such a welcome surprise. Like, oh my god, I'm getting it. I did not know I was gonna wake up to this surprise today, and it's the best thing, and I'm so excited, and it was so good. And it's just like. It's like I want to always be this excited about Star Wars.
Yeah. and I have to tell you, the candy-colored motorcycle mopeds in Book of Boba Fett have frustrated me. So I don't want to add to the flaming heap of discourse over Star Wars, but there are some things that I'm having a hard time with.
I mean, Boba Fett, it's doing some funny things. It's like there is some serious like. Some serious goof happening on like a show that's about this like hardened killer. They're like just putting in these like the cyberpunk gang on the Power Ranger bikes. It's just like an interesting choice. So like the guy with like the gadget Edward Scissor claw hands, and it's like, okay, all right, I guess that may as well exist. But also that Wookiee, man, he's cool. I like that guy.
I like that guy.
I like that guy.
Oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of The Pop. Don't forget that we do have the brand new offering for Q1 of quarterly merch available over at Patreon. We are working with a company called King's Wild Project to develop some just truly spectacular and gorgeous custom popcorn culture playing cards. We had a meeting about it earlier today, and I'm just so excited to see how they're going to look at the $25 tier. If you sign up at any time between now and March 31st, you'll be getting 2 packs of these playing cards and an uncut sheet of the entire deck of cards, which will kind of be like a really, really, really cool piece of like SCB popcorn culture memorabilia. But also, if you would just like that uncut sheet, you can do that by signing up at the $10 tier for a special offer, just for signing up sometime between now and March 31st. Again, that's going to be patreon.com/popcorn culture. Otherwise, guys, if you have any feedback on the episode, you can send that to me at popcornculturepod@gmail.com. Otherwise, find us on Twitter and Reddit. And until next time,
pop, pop.